Hey guys, looking on your back at again with another video. So today I got my Steam Deck here finally, and I got my modded Switch here. So we're gonna see which one's better, like a Steam Deck versus a modded Switch, and which one would be more better for use and everything. But first off, you could see that I thought the Switch was big at first when I got it. So this is like decently big, and over here my Steam Deck is humongous. Like this is like a full-on computer in your hands, so it's pretty cool because once you put it on top of each other like this, you could really see that the thickness of it, how big it really is. So it's kind of crazy, but we're gonna see which is better in general and which one to get or which one to mod if you can mod. So with a Steam Deck, modding, you can mod it, but there's a lot of things involved. You're gonna need a big SD card, you're gonna need a lot of other stuff like drivers, you need to get the window files and all the right ones, and you have to buy a Windows key and all that. And to mod a Steam Deck is pretty expensive actually to do if you want to do the Windows way. And even in general, to mod or even use a Steam Deck, it's kind of gonna cost you around $800. That's how much it cost me for mine because of the storage and all that. But now on the Switch, on the other hand, you can mod a Switch and get it all set up to the way I have it for probably less than $500. Maybe even less than $400 with the prices on eBay if you get a used one. Steam Decks, you generally get them new. I don't think you can get a used one. So off the bat, if you're like off pricing, I would go for a Switch for a console and all that. But with a Steam Deck, you can play all your PC games and all that, so it's pretty cool. Because I have all my PC games here. I just can't play all of them because all my games don't really work on this. And if I want to use my pirated games like Steam Unlocked and use my drive, I have to use the Windows method, and I have to get a Windows key and all that. It's kind of too much work to do because you risk the chance of messing up your Steam Deck's internal software. So I just didn't want to do that just yet because I just got this, and all that stuff is pretty new on this thing. But with the Switch over here, it's been out for almost like years now, so there's a lot you can do with this. For example, with the Switch, I already made a video on that if you want to check that out, but you can get almost any Switch game on here. You can get Android on this thing, and you can like play all your emulators on this, which is pretty cool. As you can see over here, I have all my things like Melon DS, RetroArch, PSP, all that stuff. Now all that stuff is accessible on the Steam Deck as well, but in order to do that, you're gonna need more storage on this. And let's talk storage for a second, because on this one right here, on my Switch, I have 91 gigabytes remaining, and I think I put a 250 gigabyte SD card in here. And for my internal storage, I think it was like 30 maybe. You can see it right here. It's kind of hard to see because of the theme, but on my Steam Deck over here, if we click on this real quick and we go into settings, you can see that I have, where's my data? You have 400 gigabytes free, and I put a terabyte SD card in here, and I got the, what's it called, 40 gigabyte one, I'm pretty sure, or 64 gigabyte model right here. I see you have 19 gigabytes out of 46 available, which is still pretty good for internal, which I don't have that much stuff on my internal right here. As you can see, this is all I have downloaded on this. But on my actual micro SD card, I have my games right here like God of War, Forza, all that stuff. It's all over here in GTA. And all those games run pretty well on this thing, which is pretty surprising. But if you wanted to get emulators working on this like SteamOS, it does take some work, and you're gonna use at least 200 gigabytes to get it to run perfectly fine. So it's pretty expensive. If you just want your Steam Deck as an emulator machine, then I don't think you should use this, because it's gonna cost almost $800. But if you have the money, this will perform better, and you can run a little more emulators like Wii, maybe even Switch, but Switch is still really laggy on this. But there's a lot of stuff you can run on this thing right here, where if you wanted this thing, you can pick it up for like $400 or less, like I said earlier, user. And you have to get a used one if you want an unpatched one. See, I added all these mods like better battery, just changed it all to white and everything, and still it's only costed less than this cost, so it's still pretty good. And performance wise, this thing is obviously better because you can literally play GTA on the go now, which is still pretty surprising. Like, let me just launch this real quick. Where did it go? Here it is. But you can play a lot of games on this thing, which is still pretty cool. And if you wanted to, you can run emulators once again. You can run almost anything this can run, but on this even better. So far, performance-wise, the Steam Deck does take the win, because it has so many more features, but this thing doesn't seem as portable. This thing weighs almost, it feels like it weighs like 3 or 4 pounds in your hands. When you keep holding it constantly, it kind of gets a little tiring, because it's a pretty hefty machine. This thing on the other hand, it like barely weighs anything compared to this. When you hold it, it's pretty heavy. This thing like doesn't weigh anything, and I thought this is still pretty big for the screen and everything, but it's not that big when you compare it to this. Another thing about the Switch is that you do have the option to go into Android and all that, which let me go on that in a second if it lets me. Yeah, the whole mod menu and everything here. You can go into more config, switch root, and I might make a video soon on how to install Android. I'm not sure, but once again, if you want more stuff on the Switch, let me know. I'll teach you guys how to install games next, which is a video I was gonna make next on this thing. And until this loads, you can get into Android. So let's see which one launches faster, I guess. So they all take some time to launch, because obviously all my games are stored on this SD card, and the SD card's right here, because that's how it is. And I put a clear case on this. I might do a full case swap eventually on this to make it white, because all my handhelds are usually white, because they look much better, and you don't see scratches as much as black, because you could really see the scratches on, might not see it on camera, but in person you can see them. Let's go to online. I think it's pretty cool, because when I go places, I can actually play my PC games on this thing, which is still pretty nice. And this does have Chrome built in, and it can go in desktop mode, so if you really wanted to, yeah, you could install those things and all that. And your emulators, you can run it off this, but you have to make a partition. I'm pretty sure some separate folders for that. But over here, I'm in Android, and the thing with Android is, if I really wanted to, using some type of tweaks and all that, I could like play Steam games off this, which I have right here. But the thing is, you're gonna need a PC or something, so it's kind of more expensive too if you just want to play Steam games. But you could use GeForce Now with this, like I have it over here. So you could still play PC games on this thing right here, which is still pretty cool, because you can play Fortnite on this thing. If you're banned on like actual Switch OS, it's probably the next way to play like those big games like Apex, Fortnite, and all that, is just use GeForce Now. You can play Roblox on this thing, which is pretty cool. You could do that on this too, but once again, putting stuff on like the Steam Deck and installing, you have to do it through the actual, I think it's called DeckOS, I'm pretty sure. This thing takes a while to load GTA though, which you can see we're still going on this thing. But honestly, the Switch is better, in my opinion. Just take it around, because you can't always take this everywhere you go. This thing's more if you were to go on a plane or a long drive or something, or you just don't even have a computer. This is a great thing. Like, I love the Steam Deck for that. But price-wise and otherwise, this thing is still kind of better in a way for its capabilities and its pricing. If you wanted the most out of your money, you might as well just get this. But if you want also PC games and all that stuff, these are like, once again, two completely different things. But now we're in GTA, and you can see like performance-wise, this thing doesn't lag a bit. It can run pretty good. It's like, I like it. So you can walk around, it can play perfectly fine. It's just the controls are a little weird, so you have to use like the menus and all that to bring it up. But let me go into the desktop mode, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's exit the game. I think you have to hold power button. Turn it back on. So as you can see, it just goes to switch to desktop, man. It takes a second. Another thing I like about the Steam Deck actually is that the dock is really small. Like, it's half the size as the Switch dock, maybe even smaller than that, and it can run like your whole thing there. And the thing with the Steam Deck is you actually get a full-on PC now. As you can see, this is an actual PC software thing. So It's updating some stuff right now because I haven't used the actual desktop mode in a while, but it works perfectly fine. Like, this is another computer technically, because you can run so much stuff on it. So let me exit out this thing so I can go back to my game mode if it lets me. But the Steam Deck is pretty cool and the Switch is pretty cool. So honestly, if you want a more powerful system, you might as well go get a Steam Deck. Remember to install those mods and everything. It's more time consuming, I would say, because you have to get all your games and all that, and it's the same thing with this, but this will be more time consuming and you risk the chance of damaging this even more than this, because to do this you have to partition your thing, and to do it the safe way you're gonna have to spend a lot of money on an SD card. You might even need to get a 2TB SD card if they do that, just to keep Windows on that, and if you still want Steam OS, I would say. For most cases, people usually just only have Windows on it. It just doesn't run as smooth. If you want a better thing, like just to play regular games like emulators and all that, you might as well get a Switch, because it just runs pretty good for those emulators and everything. But it does also take time to set up too. But price-wise and all that, Switch is still better, in my opinion, if you wanted to get a good machine that can run emulators and all that. But that's it for this video. If you have any questions, just comment below or join the Discord. And yeah,